Now the Mughal Empire. Babur 1526 to 1530 AD. Babur has written his biography, that is Baburnama, which is also known as Tuzak-e-Babari. Babur and Jahangir are the only two emperors of Mughal Empire who wrote their own biographies. Baburnama is also known to be the first true autobiography in the Islamic literature. Baburnama was written in Chagatai Turkic, Chagatai, Chagatai Turkic, which was Babur's mother tongue. In contrast, Jahangir Nama or Tuzak-e-Jahangiri was written in Persian. Babur, a descendant of Timur through his father and descendant of Changesh Khan through his mother, had the blood of Mongols and Turks in his vein. The first attack of Babur in India was on Bajaur, Bajaur in 1519 with 2000 equestrians. Gunpowder was used for the first time during his expedition to Bajaur. In successive expeditions, he used gunpowder and cannons, which were perhaps new to the Indians. Prior to take on Ibrahim Lodi, Babur has led 4 expeditions. Babur had led 4 expeditions. In one of these expeditions, he was able to defeat Daulat Khan Lodi, the governor of Punjab. The discontent at Delhi led Alam Khan, one of the uncles of Ibrahim Lodi and a claimant to the throne of Delhi, flee to Kabul and appeal him for action, which was already granted. First, his troops routed the Lahore and then Deepalpur. Alam Khan was appointed at Deepalpur and a Mongol was also left to watch this court changer. His 5th and final edition was in November 1525, which ended in 1526 with victory at Delhi. Now before that, Alam Khan was appointed at Deepalpur and Mongol was also left to watch this court changer. After Delhi, he moved to Agra where his soldiers, I am talking about Babur now. After Delhi, Babur moved to Agra where his soldiers wanted to return, but his moral suasion held them back. The next battle was with the old Rajput hero Rana Sanga, who counted 80 wounds on his body and lost 1 arm and 1 eye in the battlefield. Rana Sanga commanded a Rajput confederacy of 120 chieftains, leading 30,000 war horses and 500 war elephants. Prior to Babur, he had fought Battle of Gagron, Gagron in 1519 with Sultan Mahmud of Malwa and Battle of Khatoli and Bari, in which Ibrahim Lodi's forces were defeated. This enmity kept Rana Sanga neutral in the Battle of Khanwa, Khanwa, otherwise Babur could be defeated. In the Battle of Khanwa in 1527, Mughal artillery wreaked havoc in Rajput close ranks. The cannons did the fearful execution. The great Rajput army soon disintegrated into a disordered crowd and their gallantry was turned into massacre. In 1529, Babur defeated Muhammad Lodi, brother of Ibrahim, who was the last Lodi claimant of the Delhi throne, in the Battle of Ghagra. At the age of 47 on December 26, 1530, Babur died in his garden place in Agra of an unknown disease. Now he is buried at Kabul, a city he had always loved and chosen himself, surrounded by the people he loved, the fragrance of flowers. In Uzbekistan and Kyrgyzstan, he is a national hero. Humayun was portrayed in his biography Humayun-Nama, written by his sister Gulbadan Begum. When he ascended the throne of Delhi, in northwest his brother Kamran had a problem for him. In east, Afghans were roaring, and in south, Bahadur Shah, the king of Gujarat and Malwa, was a formidable king. Rajputs were also sitting at a striking distance from Agra. After initial expeditions, he laid siege Chunar in 1532 to defeat the Afghans under Sher Shah. He accepted a peace treaty because he got the news that Bahadur Shah of Gujarat was planning a conquest of Delhi. So Afghans got some time to mature plans. In 1534, when Sultan of Gujarat Bahadur Shah attacked Chittor, in 1534, the Rani Karmavati, she was the princess of Bundi, was sent to Bundi for safety. At the time of attack of Bahadur Shah, Karmavati sent Rakhi, the holy thread, to Humayun and requested for help. However, Humayun did not reply in time. Chittor was in siege by Bahadur Shah and Karmavati performed Johar. The timely interference of Humayun at Chittor could win him the inestimable friendship of the Rajputs, something which was the need of the hour, but he decided to stand by till the quarrel was fought out. This was an unusual incident where Humayun, despite of his capability, did not attack Bahadur Shah, probably because his Muslim enemy was waging a holy war against the infidel Hindus. After Chittor fell, Humayun became active and cut the supplies of the soldier camps of the Bahadur Shah, so that his soldiers started starving. In the dead of the night, Bahadur Shah fled the scene and his army immediately dispersed in all directions. Humayun all of a sudden found himself in an undisputed possession of the camp. Bahadur Shah was chased to Mandu but was neither killed nor arrested. From here, Bahadur Shah fled to Champaner, then Ahmedabad, then Cambay, and finally Diu, where his life was ultimately taken by the Portuguese. The almost entire region of Malwa and Gujarat now belonged to Humayun. Confrontation with Sher Shah Suri, 1540 AD to 1545 AD. Sher Shah Suri Aka Farid descended from the royal house of Sur, the kings of Ghor, and in early career rose from the rank of a small-time administrator, Jagirdar, to be the prime minister of one of the Lohani Afghans. He initially worked under Bahar Khan and later in 1527, he joined the military of Babur. Babur invaded Bihar, Sher Khan guided his troops and as a prize got his Jagir restored. His very presence in the Mughal army itself was enough for him to learn about the weakness and the strength of the Mughal army and administration. His first confrontation with Humayun was in 1532 when Humayun laid siege on the Chunar fort, which lasted for 4 months and ended in a submission. But this submission did not let him abandon his dream to become the sovereign. When Humayun was busy in south, he conquered Gaur, the capital of Bengal. In the battlefield of Chausa in 1539, the imperial army was checked by Sher Shah. The two forces camped opposite each other, but none of the two warranted an attack for 2 months. In these 2 months, the Mughal forces suffered the scarcity of food and supply, leading death of cattle and horses. In the desperate situation, Humayun opened the negotiations and an arrangement for a treaty was made. As per this treaty, Sher Shah was to retain Bengal and parts of Bihar, and in return he would give recognition to the emperor and accept his suzerainty. The men from two armies on the point of this possible settlement started coming on friendly terms, and all of a sudden there was a blast. One fine day, on the break of the dawn, the Afghans struck the unsuspecting Mughals from all sides. Many of the Mughal soldiers were slain in sleep. Few killed mounted on horses. Humayun was saved by a Bhisti, Bhisti, who supported him on his water skin across the river Ganga. Most of the army was drawn in Ganga or captured or killed, and the luckless Emperor of India came almost alone to Agra in 1539. In May 1540, the armies met once again opposite Kannauj, and the Mughal Empire was put to an end for a while. At Kannauj, the Afghans were able to scatter the Mughal army, which, mere by panic, had fled in confusion. Humayun again escaped from the battlefield, and from that day, for next 15 years, he lived like a wanderer. Via the deserts of Thar, he reached Sindh, where he lived for 3 years. Here he fell in love with Hamida, a 15-year-old girl who was the daughter of a sheikh of his brother. Hamida, 15-year-old girl, who was the daughter of a sheikh of his brother. In 1542, on October 15th, Hamida gave birth to Akbar, who would become the most adorable emperor of India only after Ashoka. Administration of Sher Shah Suri. In Sher Shah regime, we find a benevolent autocrat. He introduced many reforms which are greatly appreciated. The first 5 years of Sher Shah administration were used in setting up a new template for civil administration in India. He divided the entire kingdom in 47 divisions and called them sarkars. These sarkars were divided into parganas. Every pargana was under a shikdar who looked into the law and order of his pargana. At the pargana level, munsifs were appointed to collect the revenue. Amir was to hear the civil cases. Qazi or Mir-e-Adal was to hear the criminal cases. Muqaddams were to chase and arrest the culprits, and if they failed to do so, were liable to get punished. Rupiah, R-U-P-I-A, the first rupee silver coin, was introduced by Sher Shah and was called Rupiah, which remained in use throughout the Mughal rule. He issued copper coins which were called dam, half dam and quarter dam as per the denomination. Todarmal Khatri prior to become a celebrity under the reigns of Akbar as Raja Todarmal was groomed in Sher Shah administration. Whether he did any finance and revenue related works with Sher Shah is not clear, but it is believed that he acquired considerable experience in revenue affairs. The land was measured, and for this measurement, Sikandari gauze was used, which was equivalent to 39 inches. The Sikandari gauze was introduced by Sikandar Lodi. Kabuliyat and Patta system. The Kabuliyat and Patta system was introduced during the reign of Sher Shah, where the area sown, types of crops cultivated, and revenue share was written on a paper. He introduced direct remittances of the taxes to the central government so that the taxpayer are saved from any exploitation by the middle officers. Jagir system was discouraged and a new arrangement, Kabuliyat, was introduced. Kabuliyat was a deed of agreement between the peasant and the government. The survey charge was fixed at 2.5%, that was called Jaribana, and the collection charge was fixed at 5%, that was known as Muhasilans. Grand Trunk Road, a major road running across the Gangetic Plain, was built by Sher Shah for administrative and military reasons. The Sadak-e-Azam was the precursor of the Grand Trunk Road. This road was initially built by Sher Shah to connect Agra to Sasaram. That was his hometown. It was extended to Multan in west and Sonargaon in west. Sonargaon is now in Bangladesh. Sonargaon in east. It was extended to Multan in the west and Sonargaon in east. Sonargaon is present in Bangladesh. This road is one of the greatest legacies of Sher Shah. During the Mughal era, this Sadak-e-Azam extended till Kabul. The same road was improved by the British and renamed as Grand Trunk Road that ran between Calcutta to Peshawar. The successors of Sher Shah Suri. Now, successors of Sher Shah. The reign of Sher Shah was just 5 years, from 1540 to 45, though one of the most important impressive reigns. In May 1545, when he was campaigning against the Chandel Rajputs in the Bundelkhand Kalinjer, a gunpowder explosion fatally wounded him, and thus this Afghan tiger lost his life in Bundelkhand, laying wounded in his tent and worrying about the future of his wise schemes. Sher Shah was succeeded by Jalal Khan, his son, who ascended the throne with title Islam Shah Suri. Islam Shah is best known for codifying the laws for the first time. Thus, in justice and judiciary, he was one step ahead of his father Sher Shah Suri. His reign was 9 years till 1554, when he died of some disease. His successor was son Firoz Shah, a 12-year child, got soon assassinated by Muhammad Adil Shah. Adil Shah was a debauched brute who left the real power in his trusted Hindu Wazir Hemu. There was a struggle among all the Suri cousins such as Sikandar Shah and Ibrahim Shah. Now the Suri Empire was divided into 4 Suris. None of them was important. In 1555, Humayun descended from Kabul with some 15,000 horses and routed Sikandar Suri in Punjab. He proceeded further and took easy possession of Delhi and Agra. Hence, his son Akbar was sent to pursue the fugitive Afghan. Humayun was now back in power. He had enjoyed the throne of Delhi merely for 6 months that one day he slipped down the polished stairs of his palace and died at the age of 49. Humayun tumbled throughout his life and so easily tumbled out of it. Akbar from 1556 AD to 1605 AD. Akbar and Bairam Khan. When Humayun died of the fatal accident, Akbar was mere 13. The territories under him were Punjab and Delhi only. When his father died, he was in the midst of a war with Sikandar Shah at Sirhind. At Kalanaur in Punjab, this 13-year-old boy was enthroned by Bairam Khan in January 1556 and was proclaimed Shahanshah. Bairam Khan became his protector and co-regent till he comes of his age. The politics of palace changed Akbar's mind against this old tutor who had not yet realized that his young student was no more a child. Akbar's wet nurse named Mahamanga, who was also known as his foster mother, wished to use her power to undermine the esteem of Bairam and was successful in that. Akbar publicly announced that he has taken the reign in his hand, deposed Bairam Khan and sent orders for him to go for Hajj, the temporary banishment. Bairam Khan left for Gujarat to take a boat for the pilgrimage in Arabia, but was instigated by some of the foolish Muslim councillors to revolt against Akbar. He followed their advice and got defeated by the Mughal army and was brought to Akbar, who pardoned him. Now once more he left for Makkah, but before he could reach Gujarat, he was assassinated by the Afghans in revenge. Maham Anaga. The petticoat government under Maham Anaga did triumph for a moment. She acted almost as the prime minister for a while. As her devotion to her foster son Akbar made her invaluable to him. But her hopes were wrapped up in her own son Adham Khan, who was pushed forward by her to the high command. Adham Khan was filled with more pride than loyalty. He was sent to invade Malwa in 1561 along with Pir Muhammad Khan, another general. Baz Bahadur, the Sultan of Malwa, was defeated in the Battle of Sarangpur, and Adham tried to get his lover Rani Roopmati, who after taking some time to invite him inside her chamber, poisoned herself to death. Only a part of the booty was sent to Akbar and the rest he kept with himself. Miffed, Akbar marched to Sarangpur and seized the spoils. His cup was full when out of envy he killed Shamshuddin Muhammad Ataga Khan, Akbar's one of the favorite generals, and then also stood on the gate of Akbar's harem looking inside as if he was standing in a sanctuary. He was thrown twice from the roof of the palace and dispatched to heaven. The news of his death was given by Akbar to his mother, thus broken her heart. She survived but only for 40 days. Akbar got rid of both the mother and son. Wives and harem. Salima Sultan, widow of his trusted general and tutor, became the queen of Akbar after he was sent for the pilgrimage and died midway. Prior to her, Akbar had a childless Ruqayya Begum as her first wife. The third wife of Akbar, Hira Kunwari, recorded in Muslim books as Maryam Zamani Begum and popularly known as Jodha, was daughter of Raja Bharmal of Amber, with whom he married in 1562. Akbar's union with the Rajput princess marked a new policy. His father Bharmal was decorated with the highest rank of the official aristocracy, 5,000 Mansabdari, the general of 5,000 horsemen. The bride was allowed to freely exercise the rites of her own faith, Hinduism, marking the religious toleration of Akbar. Later he took other women, Hindus, Iranians, Persians, Muslims, Armenian, etc. in his harem till the number rose to 5,000. Looks like he wanted to make a parliament of religions. The immediate result with alliance with the Rajput princess was that in 1562 Jizya, the tax which the victorious followers of Prophet charged upon the infidel, was abolished. Next in line was abolition of taxes on Hindu pilgrims on the basis that there should be no obstacles in the way of man's service to the god. The detested jizya and the pilgrimage tax, thus abolished during the time of Akbar, were re-employed only during the times of Aurangzeb, uprooting the judicious system imposed by his great-grandfather. But Akbar did not hesitate in interfering in the Hindu practices that offended the sense of humanity, such as child marriage, animal sacrifice, permission to widows to remarry, etc. He was against the burning of widows, though abolishing sati wholly was beyond his power. Akbar and Mewar. Rana Sanga had died in 1528. His eldest surviving son, Rana Ratan Singh, succeeded him, was got assassinated in 1531. His brother, Rana Vikramaditya Singh, succeeded Ratan Singh. During Vikramaditya Singh's reign, Sultan of Gujarat, Bahadur Shah attacked Chittor in 1534. In 1537, Banbir killed Vikramaditya and usurped the throne. Uday Singh was the youngest and posthumous son of Rana Sanga. Banbir tried to kill Uday Singh, but Uday's nurse Panna Dhai sacrificed her own son to save him from his uncle Banbir and took him to Kumbhalgarh. Uday Singh lived in secret in Kumbhalgarh for 2 years, disguised as a nephew of the governor Asha Shah. He defeated Banbir at Mawali. In 1540, the nobles of Mewar crowned him in Kumbhalgarh. His eldest son Rana Pratap was born in the same year, 1540. Shakti Singh, Jagmal and Viram Deo were his other sons. In 1562, Uday Singh gave refuge to Bas Bahadur, the king of Malwa, who was defeated by the Mughal army of Akbar. Rani Roopmati was a Hindu Rajput singer of Malwa and lover of Sultan Bas Bahadur. The Mughals captured Rani Roopmati and she poisoned herself, ending an eternal love story. The refuge to Bas Bahadur was a costly affair of Uday Singh. Akbar attacked and sacked Mewar in 1567. Uday Singh left Chittor and went to Gogunda. Chittor was left in the hands of his loyal chieftains Jaimal and Patta, who died in the Mughal campaign. Rajput ladies performed third Johar at this time. Udaipur had already been founded in 1559 and now Uday Singh could take refuge over there. Akbar captured Chittor in 1568. Uday Singh died in Gogunda in 1572. He nominated his son Jagmal, but the nobles placed Rana Pratap on throne. The fall of Chittor was followed by two other famous forts of Ranthambore and Kalinjar, which secured allegiance of Akbar. Akbar cemented the feel-good factor by marrying other princes, the daughter of Raja of Bikaner, Kalyanmal, who along with his son Ram Singh entered into the service of Akbar. But Rana Pratap never accepted Akbar as a ruler of India and fought Akbar all his life. Akbar first tried diplomacy to win over Maharana Pratap, but nothing worked. Pratap maintained that he had no intention to fight with Akbar, but he could not bow down to Akbar and accept him as ruler. Pratap stopped the marriage etiquette of Rajputs who had been giving their daughters to Mughals. Chittor was under Mughal and Pratap was a king without capital. Almost all of Pratap's fellow Rajput chiefs had entered into the alliance with Mughals. Pratap's brother Shakti Singh and Sagar Singh were also serving Akbar. Many Rajput chiefs, such as Raja Man Singh of Amber, were serving as army commanders in Akbar's armies and members of his council. Akbar sent a total of 6 diplomatic missions to Pratap, seeking to negotiate the same sort of peaceful alliance that he had concluded with the other Rajput chiefs. Pratap roundly rebuffed every such attempt, displaying his self-respect and honor. This culminated in the Battle of Haldi Ghati on 21st June 1576. It was a decisive victory for Akbar's chieftain Man Singh. Colonel Todd called Battle of Haldi Ghati as Battle of Thermopylae of Rajasthan. Abul Fazl called this war as Battle of Khamnaur, Khamnaur. Badayuni called this war as Battle of Gogunda. After this battle, Rana Pratap continued guerrilla warfare against Akbar. His son Amar Singh fought 17 wars with the Mughals, but he conditionally accepted them as rulers in 1615. This was the terminating end of freedom of Mewar. Extent of empire and political foresight of Akbar. From 1572 to 1573, Akbar could win Gujarat. In 1574 to 75, he won Bengal. In 1581, he marched towards Afghanistan to suppress a revolt. By 1595, he had taken Kashmir, Sindh, Odisha and Kandahar. In the Deccan, only Khandesh, Berar and parts of Ahmednagar were annexed. Buland Darwaza at Fatehpur Sikri was erected by him to commemorate the victory over Gujarat. When its climax, the empire of Akbar reached from Bay of Bengal to Kandahar, rubbing shoulders with Persia and Kashmir to Narmada, touching the formidable Deccan kingdoms. The empire was almost equal in area with that of Alauddin, but expansion, its foundations were utterly stronger than that of Khalji tyrant. It was not subdued with sword but was done with the utterly help of the willing Hindu chiefs. Another major difference was that this expansion of Akbar's empire went hand in hand with the nifty administration. The central government did not interfere so long as revenue did not suffer. The assimilation of Hindu chiefs was one of the most striking features of his reign. Akbar allowed no oppression by his officers. Large number of Hindus employed under Akbar. Raja Todarmal and land revenue system. Raja Todarmal, a Khatri Rajput, had served his youth under the administration of Sher Shah Suri and had gained priceless experience in management of land and revenues. He assisted Akbar's Chancellor of Exchequer Muzaffar Khan first and then took part in suppression of Ali Quli in 1566. Raja Todarmal was the first Hindu which was sent to lead the Mughal army. This was particularly because of Akbar's suspicion that a Muslim may act in collusion with the rebel enemy. After that, Raja Todarmal was employed settling the revenue system of Gujarat. And then again given the military command to win Bengal. He became the finance officer, Mushrif-e-Diwan of Akbar in 1575 and Diwan-e-Kul, chief finance minister in 1582, and introduced the reforms also known as Todarmal's Rent Roll, a book of land records in Mughal Empire. He died in 1587. Mal Kharaj. The agrarian tax was called Mal or Kharaj. Mal essentially represented a claim on behalf of the state to a share of the actual crop. Akbar first adopted Sher Shah system, in which cultivated area was measured and a central schedule was drawn up, fixing the dues of peasant crops wise on the basis of the productivity of the land. The state's share was 1/3 of the produce. The produce under the schedule being valued at prices fixed by the emperor. In fixing the prices, the rates current in the vicinity of Delhi were probably taken as the basis. This arrangement created difficulties because one uniform schedule of prices of crops could not reasonably be applied to the whole empire. Prices were lower in rural areas which were far away from the urban centers, and the cultivators found it difficult to pay in cash at the official rate. In the 10th year of Akbar's reign, prices of crops prevailing in different regions were substituted for the uniform schedule, and the emperor reverted to a system of annual assessment. This means that Akbar fixed the prices of food grain, taking Delhi at the base. And because of taking the food grains prices, taking the Delhi prices at the base, there were some problems created in the rural areas because the prices of food grains in the rural areas was low, and due to the fixing of prices according to the Delhi vicinity, the people who were living in rural areas had difficulties in buying that produce at a higher cost, because at those places the food grains were produced at lower cost and the people had less money, but they had to pay the official rate. Therefore many difficulties were created due to this Mal or Kharaj system. Now the Karori system.